is Wrestling Reverb. And now your host, Josh Robinson.
Hello everyone and welcome to another edition of Wrestling Reverb. I am your host Josh and we got some Raw and SmackDown and some Mixed Match Challenge to talk about. We might actually talk about the Mixed Match Challenge first because I just finished watching that, so it's kind of fresh in my head. But it's similar to how the first tournament was presented. A little less about amazing in-ring action, a little more emphasis on comedy and taking the fun of wrestling and just kind of enhancing that and shooting that to the roof. And I enjoy that kind of stuff because it's a different way of watching the product and it's a different way of just taking the product in. And it's just fun. It's you don't really have to think about it too much. It's not overly important. It's just something fun to watch. I can watch it on my phone. It's just fun, and I enjoyed it. We had Kevin Owens and Natalya take on Ember Moon and Braun Strowman. Alexa Bliss was originally meant to be Braun Strowman's partner, but she has an arm injury. She's been taken off live events, taken out of the Mixed Match Challenge for now, so we'll see how that goes. But Ember replaced him. Ember and Braun were a fun little team. Cool ending with the eclipse off of Braun's shoulders, so that was fun. And this year's tournament isn't single elimination either. It's a round-robin style tournament, so you'll still see all these teams compete later on in the season, which is cool. I think that's a better way, and it's something different. WWE usually doesn't do anything but single elimination tournaments, so that's cool. The other match was Charlotte Flair and AJ Styles versus Naomi and Jimmy Uso. Of course, this match was this match went on second. This match was the better of the two. It was actually quite a fun mixed tag match. Charlotte Flair went over, and AJ went over, and it was just a fun little match. I actually invite, if you're going to watch the Mixed Match Challenge, I invite you to really watch this match, because this match was fun. It got kind of fast in the end there. AJ and Charlotte play off each other quite well, as of course do Jimmy Uso and Naomi. So yeah, that was a fun match, and I'll keep watching the Mixed Match Challenge. Stumbling my words like crazy. Oh well. I'll keep watching the Mixed Match Challenge. It'll be fun. Something I briefly want to just touch on before the Raw and SmackDown, I get into Raw and SmackDown, is the Mae Young Classic. I've been, it's probably, I think I stated in my Hell in a Cell post review very briefly that the Mae Young Classic is my favorite part of wrestling at the moment. I'm more excited for that than pretty much anything going on at the moment, with the exception of Becky Lynch. I'm really, everything's been really good on the Mae Young Classic. The first episode had some great matches. That main event of the first one, Killer Kelly and Mako, I always say her name wrong. I'll just say Mako. They had a great main event in the first episode. The second episode wasn't as good as the first, but it was still great. There's some great talent. Casey Catanzaro, I think, has got a lot of potential. She's very green, but I think she's got a lot of potential to really... She's only young. She's only just kind of started wrestling in the last year, so she's got a bright future, as does Lacey Lane. Also very green, but does some incredible things in the ring. We see Mercedes Martinez back. I thought she was great. Ashley Rain. I thought Ashley was actually going to beat Mercedes Martinez, to be honest. I thought Ashley was going to stick in the tournament for a little while, but that's okay. They had a fairly okay match. Mercedes is great, very popular. Who else have we had in this tournament that's kind of stuck out to me? I can't think of anyone off the top of my head. Obviously, Tegan Nox, very crisp in the ring. MJ Jenkins is also very good, as was Big Swole. She was fun. I'm super bummed that she didn't make it into the second round. She took on a luchador. I'm blanking on her name at the moment, but she did a beautiful Spanish fly. The tournament's been great. It seems like it's a step above last year's, especially with the first round. The first round of last year's tournament, nothing really stuck out to me in terms of match quality. They really stepped it up in the preceding rounds, but this one has been killer from the start. So that's really exciting. This week, I get to see Caitlyn make her in-ring return. Toni Storm's going to be on the episode. Mia Yim, Alison Kay. There's some great stuff lined up for this week on the Mae Young Classic, so I'm excited for tomorrow to watch that. Now, I will explain the reason I'm not doing Mae Young Classic kind of recaps is just there's not enough content to really talk about for a whole entire podcast episode. But that being said, I'm very, very keen for it. As we go into the later rounds leading up towards Evolution, which is only a little bit over a month away, I really will dig deep on the Mae Young Classic. I might do a whole tournament review and kind of talk about the tournament in depth and stuff, what I've liked, who I see with the potential and stuff like that. Obviously, I don't know. I know obviously some people know spoilers and stuff for this tournament. I don't know anything that happens in the tournament, which is really exciting to me. I have my kind of opinion on who I think will be in the finals. I do think it will be Io Shirai, and I'm kind of leaning towards more a Toni Storm or a Mako. It could be Mako in the final as well. So Toni Storm's probably my personal favorite in this tournament. There's a few others that are close, like Caitlyn and stuff like that, but Toni Storm, and she's an Aussie girl, so yeah, that's fun. I'm hoping for a Toni Storm victory in this tournament, but we'll see what happens as we move throughout the tournament and heads towards Evolution. Now, as you know, I've kind of dabbled with a few different ways I do Raw and SmackDown recaps. I had them separate for a little while, and I ran down the entire episode. I kind of went segment by segment for the last few weeks. I'm not going to talk about everything from SmackDown and Raw. I'm just going to pick out the things that I like and that I think that are worthy of talking about. And I'm not going to go in any particular order. I'm just going to kind of run off my little list I've got here of what I think. Obviously, we talked about Hell in a Cell and how the first half of Hell in a Cell I thought was incredible, and I thought the second half really fell off the deep end. But it's sometimes not about the actual pay-per-view itself. It's where you go from that. Raw did a lot of the same. I thought there was a lot of matches that are just kind of like, we've only got a few more weeks until Super Showdown. Obviously, the promoting now really starts as it's the next pay-per-view. It just seemed like a lot of the matches were just thrown at us, and they're just trying to promote with no real explanation why. You take things like the Riot Squad versus the Bella Twins and Ronda Rousey. Now, obviously, Ronda has been somewhat had a gaining friendship with the Bella Twins. The Riot Squad are kind of, they've been thrown in and out with Sasha Banks and Bayley and stuff like that. So the Riots are just kind of being tossed around, and they're going to take on Ronda and the Bellas at Super Showdown. Ronda Rousey had an open challenge. Well, it was going to be an open challenge this week on Raw for the Raw Women's Championship. Natalia's music hit. The Riot Squad's beat down Natalia, come down, started beating up Ronda, and the Bellas come out to save. It was actually a fun little segment. Ruby Riot did an incredible spear on Ronda in that little brawl. I think what happens at Super Showdown is that I think I even said this on my Hell in a Cell review, but I'll say it again. I think Nikki and Brie turn on Ronda at Super Showdown. I think they get the win over the Riots. I think Nikki gets the win, to be honest. And then Nikki turns on Ronda, and we have our main event for Evolution, which is Nikki Bella versus Ronda Rousey. Now, obviously the talk has died down since it first kind of swelled up on the internet of Nikki Bella and Ronda Rousey, and a lot of people were not happy. I'm in the minority. I think it's a great main event for Evolution. Do I think it should go on last? Probably not. In a wrestling standpoint, probably not. But in a sorry about that, everyone. There was a little bit of technical issues there with some stuff on my computer. I apologize a lot. But yeah, what I was talking, I think before this all happened, I was talking about Ronda Rousey. I think Nikki Bella gets the win, and I think, yeah. So I was talking about how the main event, how I was in the minority, that I don't think it's a bad idea, and how do I think it should go on last? Maybe not. But in terms of mainstream kind of appeal. Ronda obviously has name value. Nikki Bella, to a certain degree, does have name value. The Bella Twins are the biggest stars from Total Divas. They bring in that side of audience to Evolution, and I don't care what anyone says to me. Nikki Bella has come leaps and bounds in the ring. She is a legend and a veteran of the women's division. A lot of people do not agree with me. There's a lot of Bella Twins haters, a lot of Bella bashers. I'm not one of them. I think Nikki Bella holds up her own in the ring. I think she can carry some people in the ring to a certain degree. I do think Ronda and her will have an excellent match, and it will have a lot of outside interest for Evolution. Raw Women's Championship on the line. It's a main event for Evolution. That isn't just, a standard wrestling match. It's just something else. It brings something else to it. So, I'm fine where this is going. Yeah, like I said, I think Nikki Bella and Brie turn on Ronda at Evolution, at Super Showdown, and we go into Evolution. It's just my opinion. Something else I'll take from Raw is Lio Rush. I was somewhat familiar with Lio Rush's work prior to here. Obviously, I'm not an avid watcher of 205 Live. I've seen clips of him, what he can do in the ring. He's great a talker. He's only a young guy. He's only 23 years old. He has a long future in this business. It adds something to Bobby Lashley. Bobby Lashley is just kind of stalled. I've talked about him before, how he's just kind of stalled upon since his return and stuff like that. Other than Roman Reigns, he hasn't really done anything too significant. He's been off of pay-per-views. This is good for him. Adds something to him. So I'm excited for that. They play off each other very well. Leo did some incredible little, little things to get away from Elias and Kevin Owens on Raw. Him and Elias had a great little segment. That was really fun. Now at Hell in a Cell, the Raw Tag Team match was absolutely incredible. I think it was the match of the night. There seems to be a little bit of a reset on the Raw Tag Division I've talked about a couple of weeks ago in my last Raw and SmackDown recap. I think that while Drew and Dolph are really good as tag team champions, I just don't see this lasting that long. Once kind of the Shield versus the pack of guys, the Braun, Dolph, Drew trio kind of ends, once this feud ends, I think they lose the tag team titles relatively soon after that. And I just don't know if there's very good standout teams, but there's not a lot of depth to the Raw Tag Team division. But, anything can be rebuilt over time. It's just they need to give it the solid effort that it requires. But it's fine. For right now, Drew and Dean Ambrose had a pretty decent match to start off Raw. I thought that was fun. Something else on Raw that I will take away from it was The Undertaker, obviously building towards Super Showdown, last time ever against Triple H. Shawn Michaels is going to be in Triple H's corner. And The Undertaker announced that his brother Kane will be in his corner. There's been rumors of a tag team match with Shawn Michaels and Triple H versus the Brothers of Destruction at what we now known as Crown Jewel in Saudi Arabia. I don't know if that will happen. I kind of do see it more leaning towards it will. But, that'll be fun. Speaking of the Saudi Arabia event, it gets a lot of mixed opinions. Obviously, there's cultural differences in Saudi Arabia, and women are not allowed to, do certain things in Saudi Arabia, and they're obviously not allowed to compete. In Saudi Arabia, the women they don't go to the shows. It's just not the same as, a Western society, as the United States, or, a more majority of the world, Australia, England, Canada, the list goes on. Now, a lot of people think that it's not a good idea for WWE to go to Saudi Arabia, and especially the timing of it. I think it's like 3 or 4 days after Evolution. It's just, my opinion on it is that obviously WWE can't change a culture, but they're trying to be a part of a change in the culture. I know this seems so abstract and weird to even talk about, but women are now legally allowed to drive in Saudi Arabia. That's something that's never done before. I know that sounds so weird for us to talk about, and obviously a weird topic for me to talk about on this podcast, but it's important. I am a big activist of women's rights. I think women and men should be treated equally. I just think there shouldn't be so much of a divide between women and men. We're all people. So I've always been about it. But this is my stance on WWE going to Saudi Arabia. I think it's a good thing. It brings change to that country, even if it's just in the entertainment world, the sporting world and stuff like that. It's not obviously going to change a whole culture and change a whole religion or whatever it may be, but it's impacting it in some respects. Obviously, people talk about the amount of money that WWE get from Saudi Arabia. Now, I obviously don't know the exact figure that they're getting. I'm assuming it would be a lot, but it's a good thing for the world. Obviously, with the cultural differences, you wouldn't think something like this could happen at a big event like Crown Jewel or the Greatest Royal Rumble happening in a country like Saudi Arabia. So my stance on it is that it's doing its job in the terms of trying to at least spotlight that there is room for a change in a country like that. Little steps. Women being allowed to drive is one. Women being allowed to attend the event in some capacity is another. There's certain rules and stuff that I'm not going to really get into and stuff like that because obviously I don't agree with that anyway, but it's a different country, it's different religion, it's different rules, it's different culture, and this Western society is just so... it's just so different to what we're accustomed to, and I understand where people are coming from. I get that, but I just think that it's spotlighting that there's room for a change, and it's necessary. I'll leave it at that on the Saudi Arabia event. But speaking of that event, Brock Lesnar, Braun Strowman, Roman Reigns, Universal Championship Triple Threat will be happening at that event. That'll be a fun little match. I think it protects Brock, gets his rematch out of the way. It'll be a fun little match. Yeah, that'll be fun. There's not too much of Raw that I really want to get into, only because not a lot more really happened. Obviously, there was a Universal Championship match between Baron Corbin and Roman Reigns. That was a fun little match. The Shield and Braun and Dolph and Drew come out, and it was just ended in that. And they're building to Super Showdown, the Shield versus Braun, Dolph, Drew. I personally am not feeling the Shield return this time round. I think I'm a little bit. I think they're a little bit oversaturated with the Shield at the moment. It just kind of seems like Raw is all about that and not really about much else. But it'll fizzle out over time, and we'll go into other things towards the end of the year. Once we get back into Mania season, because it's really not that far away when you think about it. So yeah, I'm kind of a little bit stale on that kind of stuff, but it's still, they're still producing good matches and stuff like that. So I'm excited for that at Super Showdown to a certain degree. Not really much else that I really want to get into too much. Nia Jax came back on Raw. It's good to see her back. Her and Ember took on... Who did they take on? I can't... Alicia Fox and Mickie James. That's right. I don't know why I completely forgot about that. That was a nice little tag match. Not really too much else I want to really get into on Raw. As you know, I'm a SmackDown guy more than a Raw guy. And yeah, that's that on that one. Talking about SmackDown Live, it was a pretty good episode of SmackDown Live this week. AJ Styles and Andrade Cien almost had an incredible match. I don't know how AJ went out there for the Mixed Match Challenge after it, because there was some great stuff in there. Very hard hitting. The counter at the end was amazing. Please go and watch that, because it was fun. It was a really fun match. AJ went over, of course. Samoa Joe attacked him. They're building towards their no DQ, no countout match at Super Showdown for the WWE Championship. We had Becky Lynch's coronation for her SmackDown Women's title, SmackDown Women's Championship. She's the new champ, and Charlotte Flair came out. There was a brawl. Becky beat her up, held the title up at her, above her head, and we're building towards a Super Showdown rematch for that as well. So I get to be in attendance for that. As you all know, I'm getting very excited. 2 weeks from tomorrow, I actually head out to Melbourne. So that's pretty exciting. It'll be my 4th or 5th time in Melbourne, but obviously first going to a WWE pay-per-view. Been to a heap of live events and stuff like that in Adelaide and in Melbourne. So I'm very, very, very excited for Super Showdown. And it's getting a lot of promotion on TV. The matches that... all the matches have been announced, and they're actually going to be, I think they're going to be really fun. Miz and Bryan, #1 contendership. I think Miz walks away with that. I think Miz, AJ Styles is the match that's going to happen at Crown Jewel. I think Miz might be the one to dethrone AJ, to be honest. I don't think it's going to be Samoa Joe. I think it's going to be the Miz. That's just my take. I've seen a lot of opinions on maybe Miz winning the WWE Championship, and then Bryan wins the Royal Rumble and picks Miz, and we have Miz and Bryan at WrestleMania. That could be fun. WWE Championship match. What else to take away? The Iconics and Asuka and Naomi are going at it at Super Showdown. Billie Kay and Asuka had a match this week on SmackDown. Asuka went over. I think the Iconics are obviously going to be on home turf at Super Showdown. There could be a little bit of a staleness towards Asuka and Naomi, which is not something that them two are probably used to. But the Iconics are definitely going to be on the home field advantage, as will Buddy Murphy. He's going for the Cruiserweight Championship against Cedric Alexander. There's a lot of stuff happening. So it's just kind of pinpointed around this week on SmackDown and Raw. There's not a lot really happening on the shows at the moment that's really, grabbing my attention in the... They've lost a lot of momentum. I'm still excited and I'm still watching the product and still enjoying it. There's just a little bit of stalling. Rusev and Shinsuke, I would say, actually. Oh, I have to talk about this, obviously. This completely slipped my mind. Rusev and Shinsuke Nakamura, United States Championship match. It looked like Rusev was about to get the win. Aiden English, who said some pretty nasty stuff about Rusev and Lana earlier in the night, screwed up again. Rusev loses to a roll-up, and then Aiden actually is the one to turn on Rusev, beating the tar out of him with a microphone, just beating the crap out of him, and Rusev Day is officially cancelled today by Aiden English. That'll be kind of exciting. Aiden's actually quite good. I think he's a little bit underrated. I think he can do a lot more than he's given. And Rusev is fun. The team of Lana and Rusev are fun. I think this could be really, really cool. That was something to take away from SmackDown this week, and it just completely slipped my mind, to be honest. Other than that, I'm kind of giving just kind of a brief rundown of the little bits and pieces I like from Raw and SmackDown this week. It's going to be a little bit of a shorter episode. I'm just trying to get myself back in the consistency of making episodes again, since my little technical issues have been happening. I have new equipment coming, but I've had so much bad luck. I'll explain my bad luck. I've ordered some new microphones and some new headphones and stuff for, I've started my Twitch channel, and I've ordered capture card, and my God, literally every bit of all 3 of my packages that were coming to my house got lost in the mail. Thank you, Australia Post, for that. They had to be sent back to returner, to the sender, and then I got money back, and then I had to rebuy, but then there were some things that were out of stock. My God, I've had so much issue with that. And then my computer has been having its own issue. I have an iMac, and it's getting on its last legs in its lifespan, I'm pretty sure, so I'm going to have to look into getting a new one of these, and it's been very rough. But I am keeping up the good fight, keeping to the cause, and I am powering through, because that's what I have to do when I have a podcast. There's some other things in the works for me. I'm trying to really establish this as more less of just a kind of a hobby and more of a project that I'm kind of working on and stuff like that. And I'm putting, effort and money and time into this, and trying to get it really off its feet. Weeks ago now, I was actually I got to number 5 on the Australian Sports and Recreation iTunes charts in Australia. That was incredible. My downloads went overnight from like 400 to 1,000, from 1,000 to 2,000. I'm at about 6,500 now overall views and downloads. I'm getting likes on my Twitters and my Instagrams and my Facebooks and all that kind of stuff. So it is growing. It's just because of all the issues I've had, I've hit a bit of a lull point, but it'll go back up. I'm very confident. I thank everyone for the support and stuff like that. I'm going to get more episodes, and I've got some things in my head that I'm trying to work on and trying to make this a little bit different than any other wrestling podcast, because there is so many, and it's hard to keep consistent and keep it fresh and keep it exciting as well. Not just for you guys, but for me as well, because wrestling can hit little dulls and stuff like that. But as we swing up, I've got some Super Showdown. I'm going to do some podcasts from Melbourne. I'm probably going to do a podcast very, very, very fresh off of Super Showdown from Melbourne and stuff like that. So that'll be fun. Evolution is gearing up. I'm going to be all hands on deck for that. As we head into Survivor Series, I like the concept of Survivor Series. I hope they stick to the one they did last year with all of the champions versus the champions, and keep it completely Raw and SmackDown, because I really, really enjoyed that. We got TLC, and then it's Rumble time. It's WrestleMania season. We're really not very far away from that again, so this will be really exciting. Obviously, there's a lot that happens from now until then, but that's really exciting. And shorter episode this time for the Raw and SmackDown recaps. And if you like this kind of like spitfiring little bits and tidbits from Raw and SmackDown, let me know, and I'll keep doing it like this. I can go back to the original format. I can do anything you guys kind of want and feel is better for you guys. So that's it for this week's episode of Wrestling Reverb. I'll see you next time. Bye.